much, despite a war, etc., etc., etc. But at the same time, you have, no good news seems to be taking up the market as well. So I think there's a bit of fatigue. Usually it happens during there is a downturn. There is a bit of a consternation towards the last high, and until people are exhausted of both the selling and the buying, as long as that is there and there's no fresh triggers in place, markets generally don't show their trend meaningfully. This is actually usually a very good time from an investor perspective, because when everything is uncertain, that's when you're getting some cushion on valuations in certain either stocks or sectors or even in the broad market in certain categories. So you should always invest, or look to invest at a time when markets don't know where they're going, and then perhaps as trends form, then you can actually increase as time goes on. But I expect another few months of this back and forth behavior to sustain, after which I think we'll see a trend. I hope that trend kind of comes in towards the end of the year.
By the way, those are Power Grid numbers on the screen, and first glance they don't look too great. Top line is lower than estimates as well. The EBITDA figure that we were working with was around 9,600 crores. We'll just see what the company has done. Profitability is also slightly lower than estimates, and the stock is seeing a sharp slide now as we speak. So it's not been a very great quarter or a good start to the year, at least it looks like, for Power Grid. Deepak, hi, good to be speaking with you. Since I'm just discussing the stock, I know you don't talk individual stocks anymore, but I mean, the reason why this stock has been liked by a lot of people in the market is that it's seen as a great way to play the whole power cycle, because while with generators there could be problems here and there and you decide whether renewable or thermal, the grid always needs investments, and you need a strong grid irrespective of what is the kind of power. And so therefore that disappointment is showing up on the stock now because the numbers are not that hot. Do you like power as a space? And if yes, where would you place your bets?
That's a good question, Surbi. I think the problem with power has been there are too many areas, right? There's the power producers, there's the transmission, there's the grid, there's the financing companies, and so on. By and large, we've found that power is going to be one of those sectors which will play a huge role going forward. And given India has got kind of a little more diversified in whether it is the sources of power go from coal to as much as nuclear to natural gas and a couple of other places, solar, and the generation sources have changed. That needs a more robust grid, because solar is going to be very highly operating during the day, wind is going to be operative during certain seasons, so you need a grid to be more efficient. So grid companies by definition should be interesting, but I don't think they will be allowed to be ridiculously profitable. I mean, 80% profit margin is already ridiculously profitable. But I think overall, we should not expect that because they end up becoming a grid, that they will be allowed to make supernormal profits. That over time, their monopolies will force the government or other players to bring down margins to more manageable levels. And this, I would say, happens to pretty much anyone who has monopolies in any space, whether it's a stock exchange, a power exchange, or anything like that. Over time, things will change. So I think you have to have a spattering of investments in distribution, in transmission, in grid, in finance companies. And the power sector by itself is going to be a huge source of growth in the next coming years. I don't think you can bet on any one of these to say this will be the only place that will grow.
All right. Hi, Deepak. Good afternoon. Good to see you in. What about the large insurance company that you have been tracking, the government-owned one, the life insurer? I think you had a positive stance on that. Do you continue to hold on to a positive stance?
Yeah, I mean, of course, now we're in the mutual fund, talk individual investment. The PMS continues its investments. I think the life insurance space is relatively, has not grown as meaningfully as it should have. But I think whether it's a large public life insurance company or whether it's the private life insurance company. I think the idea is that the investment setup is set up to attract investments both from people who are going into life insurance as an investment, and also the mutual fund space and the few other investment spaces there are. So primarily they will ride high on capturing more from the investment part of insurance. Unfortunately, that is significantly why people put money into insurance plans as well, that they want their money back. Whereas mostly in life insurance plans, you don't want your money back because that means you're dead. But in India, it's a different source of income. So I think as much as we've seen more and more companies are moving towards non-participating policies, more and more companies are moving towards whether it is ULIPs or others, the scope of this remains interesting, but I haven't seen the growth yet. It will take, I think, another 4 or 5 years for this part of the sector to grow meaningfully. Though profit growth for some of the largest insurance company has been very robust. We've seen that 40 or 50,000 crore profit come in. It's just not translated to high dividends for shareholders or anything meaningful from an acquisition perspective yet. So let's see where that goes. I still think the sector has a lot to hold.
Deepak, thank you very much for joining in.